Friends, welcome to Biology Made Easy. We are discussing the chapter Mineral Nutrition, where we have discussed the role and deficiency of different the macro elements, and among micro elements also we have discussed 4 elements. Now today in this video we'll discuss the remaining ones. So the first one that we'll discuss today is that is boron. Now, usually boron is absorbed from the soil in the form of BO3 minus 3 or also in the form of B4O7 minus 2. In these two forms usually it is absorbed from the soil. Now what are the important roles or functions played by this boron? If we discuss the different roles played by it for the plant body. Now number one is it is very much important for pollen germination. That means when the pollen grain falls on the stigma, there it has to germinate. So for that this role of boron is very important. And the second is after its germination, then the pollen tube will grow in the style. For that also boron is required. It is required for pollen growth. Side by side, it is also required for seed germination. Required for seed germination. The other things on which depend upon boron is the translocation of sugars. Usually sugars are translocated in the phloem in the form of a sugar borate complex. In the form of sugar borate complex. So for this also it is important. Now, another important factor is it is required for cell elongation and differentiation. Cell elongation and differentiation. Then among the other factors, the next important is it is required for functioning of cell membrane. That means the different functions of cell membrane dependent on the presence of a boron. And another is it also required for uptake as well as uptake and utilization of calcium. That means to what extent calcium will be absorbed by the plant body and how it will be utilized, that is also dependent upon boron. So these are some of the very important roles played by boron. In addition to some other things are there, that is like it plays a very role in PPP, pentose phosphate pathway. This is an alternative pathway in respiration where there will be no glycolysis, no Krebs cycle. So it is alternative pathway. And also it plays a role in RNA metabolism. So these are some of the roles or functions played by boron. Now let us discuss what are the deficiency symptoms of boron. So among the deficiency symptoms, one is there will be death of shoot and leaf tips. That means the shoot and the leaf tips will die first. Then the second one is abscission abscission of flowers. Then there is a loss of apical dominance. The apical dominance which is caused due to by auxin, so that will be lost if there will be deficiency of boron. Then in the other factors, the size of fruits becomes small. Then it also inhibits root nodule formation in case of legumes. Inhibits root nodule formation in legumes. So these are some of the deficient symptoms. Side by side, it causes deficiency of boron, also causes diseases like top sickness in tobacco. Then there will be browning of cauliflower. That means usually the cauliflower is white in color, but sometimes it will mark some brown spots are there, that indicates there is deficiency of boron. So these are the different roles and deficiency symptoms caused by boron. Now let us discuss the next one, and the next one in this series is molybdenum. So molybdenum, usually molybdenum is absorbed from the soil in the form of molybdate ions. In this form, usually it is absorbed from the soil. Now, usually it is absorbed in very low quantity. Low quantity, and its role is very limited. And one of the important role is it takes part in the enzyme. Number one is nitrogenase, and another important enzyme is that is nitrate reductase. These two are very, very important from examination point of view, because these two enzymes, they are required for nitrogen fixation. So we can write also they play very important role in nitrogen fixation, because these are required for nitrification and nitrogen fixation and nitrification. So without the presence of molybdenum, the nitrogen fixation is not possible. Now if we come to the deficiency symptoms. Now one of the deficiencies is it causes chlorosis. This is one of the important deficiencies. And the second deficiency is that is loosening of inflorescence in cauliflower. So what we have observed in case of cauliflower, all the inflorescence is tightly packed. But if there will be shortage of molybdenum, this inflorescence will be separated from each other, so it will be very loose, which will not prefer to purchase from the market, because you will think that it is not good cauliflower. So these are the functions and efficiency of molybdenum. The next one that we'll discuss is chlorine. So chlorine is also absorbed from the soil in form of chlorine ions. Chlorine. It is absorbed from the soil in the form of chlorine ions. And among the different roles, one is it is very much important for photolysis of water. when photolysis of water takes place in the pigment system 2 in the thylakoids, it requires both manganese and chlorine. So that is very important. The second important aspect is it also plays role in anion and cation balance. Anion and cation balance in this cell. Now we have discussed that when the opening and during the opening and closing of stomata, when potassium ions they enter into the guard cells. Along with that, some amount of chlorine also enter to maintain the balance. So there also it plays important role. And another aspect is it maintains osmotic environment, and also it plays some role in cell division in leaves and roots. So these are some of the functions carried out by chlorine. And in case of a deficiency symptom, one of the deficiency system will be the stunted growth, and the other is there will be abscission of flowers. So these are the two deficiency symptoms. Now the last one of the microelement is nickel. So nickel is also obtained from the soil in the form of nickel ions. Like other macro and microelements, its role is very limited. Nickel, it is observed in the form of nickel ions, and among the different roles, usually it plays very important role in the metabolism of urea and urates. So urates means these are amides. When more than one amino group is there, we can call them as urates. So in the metabolism of both urea and urates, it plays very important role, and it also has some activity. In the functioning of urease enzyme, and these are the only two important roles played by chlorine. And among the deficiency symptoms, usually there will be leaf tip necrosis. That means only the tip of the leaf, there will be some dead cells, necrosis. Otherwise, it has not much functions. So with this, all the microelements, they are complete. Now let us discuss questions. So one question we can discuss: which of the following element is required for functioning of nitrate reductase? This is a very important question. So one is molybdenum, the second is boron, the third one is nickel, and the fourth one is chlorine. Then second question: which of the following is required for pollen germination and pollen tube growth. So here also these choices we can write boron, then molybdenum, then nickel, and chlorine. So these are these type of questions, standard questions, which are usually asked in all type of national tests. I hope you will be able to answer such questions after going through the video. Thank you very much. God bless you. Have a good day.